Big homie wanted to look like a gay painter.
From mocking JayZ for allegedly copying a famous painter to blasting claims his rise hinges on marrying Beyonce publicly loudly.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce.
Mhm.
When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those trophies came rolling in, buddy.
For years, 50 Cent has taken shots at JayZ, but now Jay is finally responding, breaking his silence in a clip that's setting social media on fire. What looks like surface-level banter is actually tied to a deeper power struggle that goes far beyond rap records and chart positions. This isn't just about lyrics or old rivalries. It's about influence, access, and who really controls the biggest moments in hip-hop culture. The center of the controversy is the Super Bowl halftime show, one of the most powerful stages in American entertainment. For years, many fans believed the 2022 halftime show was purely a cultural celebration, bringing hip-hop front and center with legends like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. When 50 Cent appeared upside down during In Da Club, it instantly became one of the most talked about moments of the night. But according to 50, that moment nearly never happened. He claims JayZ, through his company Roc Nation, tried to block his appearance behind the scenes. Since 2019, Roc Nation has partnered with the National Football League to oversee the creative direction of the halftime show, giving JayZ enormous influence over who gets selected and who doesn't. In 50's telling, that power was used to keep him off the stage. What makes this situation resonate isn't just the allegation itself, but what it represents. The fight, as 50 frames it, is about gatekeeping, about who decides which artists get career-defining opportunities and which ones are quietly pushed aside. It's a reminder that hip-hop's biggest battles don't always happen in the booth. They often unfold in boardrooms, contracts, and executive decisions. Now that JayZ has finally addressed the situation publicly, fans are left wondering whether this was a misunderstanding, a calculated move, or just another chapter in a rivalry that never truly ended. One thing is certain. This debate has reopened conversations about power, control, and fairness at the highest levels of the music industry, and it doesn't look like it's cooling down anytime soon.
JayZ told Dr. Dre, just for people who's not up on this, or Eminem, that he didn't want you to perform part of that Super Bowl they had a couple years ago.
In December 2024, 50 Cent appeared on Cameron's show Come Talk to Flea and laid everything out. He claimed JayZ went to Dr. Dre and others to block him. What stood out most was 50's unwavering, day one loyalty with Eminem, a true ride-or-die bond.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I just
Threatened?
Yeah,
Possibly?
not even threatened. You know, I think it's just when you take the competition from like our culture is competitive, man. It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand.
According to 50 Cent, this wasn't about creative disagreements or scheduling issues at all. He openly accuses JayZ of using his corporate influence to deliberately block another artist's opportunity. When viewed closely, the issue stretches beyond personal dislike, pointing instead to power, control, and how long-standing street rivalries can resurface inside executive boardrooms. The situation deepened when 50 claimed Eminem stepped in, allegedly issuing the National Football League an ultimatum that he would not perform without 50 included. Tony Yayo later supported this account during an interview with DJ Vlad, reinforcing claims of loyalty and behind-the-scenes pressure.
But for me, I mean, Jay, you know, you got to remember, he didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl. That was crazy. I'm like,
wait, Jay didn't want 50 at the Super
you didn't
Bowl?
know that? Yeah, he didn't want.
I remember Eminem pushed for it.
That was some hated. Yeah,
I remember Eminem was like, I'm not going to do it unless 50.
What that really implies. One of the most celebrated halftime shows in Super Bowl history nearly lost Eminem, one of its biggest global draws, because JayZ allegedly tried to block 50 Cent from appearing. That moves far beyond petty rivalry. If true, it suggests corporate-level maneuvering that could have cost networks millions and embarrassed an entire organization on the biggest broadcast night of the year. 50 has openly questioned why Jay would push so hard to keep him off that stage. In a July 2024 interview with a Hollywood Reporter, he said the resistance was deliberate, claiming efforts were made to exclude him and that Eminem's refusal to perform without him should already be documented in NFL agreements. He reinforced those claims again in October 2024 during an appearance on The Breakfast Club, saying the blame was initially shifted toward the National Football League to avoid direct fallout, according to 50. Industry insiders later confirmed where the pushback originated. That revelation reframed the issue as something deeper than music, a long-running competition tied to influence, access, and power. In his view, this wasn't about a performance lot, but about control at the highest levels of hip-hop and entertainment.
It goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It don't make sense. Like, what are we competing for?
Tell me.
50 Cent has argued that the real source of tension between himself and JayZ no longer has anything to do with music. In his view, the conflict evolved once his success in television reshaped the balance of power. Through the Power franchise on Stars, 50 didn't just produce hit shows. He built a cultural juggernaut that turned him into a serious competitor within the entertainment business. According to 50, this shifted the rivalry from bars and chart numbers to empires, market share, and control over hip-hop's business future. From that perspective, the Super Bowl controversy represents something far bigger than a performance dispute. 50 has claimed that while the National Football League publicly absorbed the backlash, he always believed the real decision came from Roc Nation. In his telling, the league acted as a corporate shield, providing plausible deniability, while the true power operated quietly behind the scenes. He has repeatedly said he wasn't fooled by that arrangement and knew exactly where the resistance originated. What makes the allegation more explosive is that JayZ has never publicly addressed it. That silence has fueled endless interpretation. Some fans view it as a calculated refusal to dignify accusations they see as petty. Others interpret the lack of response as tacit acknowledgement that 50's claims may be uncomfortably close to the truth. Without confirmation or denial from JayZ, Roc Nation, or the NFL, 50's version of events has continued to dominate online discussion. The debate widened in September 2024 when Cameron and Ma-E speculated that Lil Wayne had been blocked from a future Super Bowl appearance due to old tensions. For many observers, the parallel reinforced a growing belief that JayZ used corporate authority to settle long-running rivalries. Social media quickly split into camps, some accusing JayZ of gatekeeping, others dismissing the narrative as another chapter in 50 Cent's history of provocation. To understand why these accusations resonate, it helps to revisit the origin of the rivalry. Long before Curtis Jackson became a global brand, he was an unknown rapper from Queens struggling to gain traction. In 1999, with little industry support, he took a bold gamble. Drawing inspiration from the notorious B.I.G.'s Just Playing Dreams, 50 flipped the concept into confrontation. The result was How to Rob, a track built around fantasizing about robbing nearly every major name in hip-hop, including JayZ. The song was outrageous, disrespectful, and impossible to ignore. Distributed through white-label vinyl and spun heavily by DJs like Funkmaster Flex on Hot 97, it spread rapidly through mixtapes and clubs. Overnight, 50 Cent became the most talked-about newcomer in the industry. While many artists laughed it off or stayed silent, JayZ chose to respond. That response came at Hot 97 Summer Jam in 1999, when JayZ delivered the now iconic line, "I'm about $1. What the F is 50 Cent?" The bar was sharp and dismissive, framing JayZ as established currency and reducing 50 to spare change. It later appeared on Volume 3, Life and Times of S. Carter, cementing a dynamic that would persist for decades. From that moment forward, their rivalry was never just lyrical. It became symbolic. Old guard versus disruptive outsider. Boardroom polish versus guerrilla tactics. Decades later, with television empires, corporate partnerships, and Super Bowl stages involved, 50 argues the same conflict still drives decisions behind closed doors. Whether his claims reflect reality or rivalry-fueled perception remains disputed. What's undeniable is that the silence from those in power has allowed the narrative to grow. keeping one of hip-hop's longest-running wars alive well beyond the music itself.
There ain't never been no 50 Cent JayZ conversations, questioning whether there was a competition between the two of them. There's a huge difference in energy internationally in 50 Cent and JayZ. In fact, his largest selling record sold 430-something thousand copies. My largest selling records, plural.
50 Cent didn't back down from the tension. In 2000, he fired back with Be a Gentleman, a pointed response aimed directly at JayZ, where he openly questioned Jay's street credibility. In the song, 50 mocked Jay's age, image, and claims of authenticity, arguing that commercial success alone did not equal real respect in the streets. The lyrical back and forth seemed poised to escalate further, but events took a devastating turn on May 24, 2000. 50 Cent was shot 9 times outside his grandmother's home in Queens. He survived against the odds, but the consequences were severe. Columbia Records dropped him, shelving his debut album Power of the Dollar. The shooting effectively paused the rivalry. Over the next 2 years, 50 focused on recovery and rebuilding, flooding the streets with mixtapes while JayZ continued his run of dominance, highlighted by The Blueprint in 2001. Though quiet publicly, the tension never fully disappeared. Everything shifted in 2002 when 50 was signed by Eminem and Dr. Dre under Shady Records and Aftermath Entertainment. His debut album Get Rich or Die Tryin' dropped in February 2003, selling 872,000 copies in its first week and eventually going diamond. Songs like Inda Club and 21 Questions dominated radio nationwide, turning 50 into an unstoppable force. By then, even JayZ recognized the shift. In a 2013 interview on The Breakfast Club, he admitted warning his Rockefeller Records artists that 50's takeover was coming. What followed was an uneasy coexistence. In 2003, both appeared in a Reebok campaign and co-headlined the Rock the Mic tour. Despite moments of collaboration, 50 continued to highlight his global sales dominance, insisting the rivalry never truly ended, only evolved.
There's a huge difference in who we are with each other internationally. Let them be fooled in America and think there's a competition there, because America can be purchased. We can buy it with marketing dollars. You see what I'm saying? But the rest of the world, there's not enough marketing dollars to go around to change the way the rest of the world feels about it.
50 Cent has been blunt about what he sees as JayZ's weakness, avoiding direct confrontation. He argues JayZ sidesteps conflict by positioning intermediaries, preferring proxies to handle disputes rather than facing opponents himself publicly directly.
See, he's didn't compete.
50 Cent extended the critique to JayZ's image, labeling him the coolest punk in hip-hop, arguing his polished, corporate persona weakens street credibility and undercuts the tough image he presents publicly.
He's the coolest punk in hip-hop. His presentation makes people decide to say,
oh man,
you know, because he's big, and his take on it is bigger than the actual art form. He won't actually.
Implications of this rivalry are unmistakable. 50 Cent has long portrayed JayZ as someone who plays a different kind of game, one rooted in corporate insulation rather than direct confrontation. In 50's view, JayZ prefers boardrooms over battlegrounds, using business structures and intermediaries as shields while others engage in conflict on his behalf. Whether that approach reflects strategic brilliance or an avoidance of risk depends entirely on perspective, but it has shaped how 50 interprets their long-running tension. Their rivalry extended well beyond music into landmark business deals. In 2004, 50 partnered with Glasso, makers of vitamin water, choosing equity instead of a standard endorsement. When the Coca-Cola Company acquired Glasso in 2007 for $4.1 billion, 50 reportedly earned tens of millions. Around the same time, JayZ sold Rocawear to Iconics brand group for $204 million. Both were historic wins, yet 50 consistently framed his deal as the smarter, more transformative move. The competition intensified in 2007 when Kanye West's Graduation and 50's Curtis dropped on the same day. Kanye won the sales battle decisively, and 50 accused JayZ, then president of Def Jam Recordings, of orchestrating the outcome by proxy. The claim reinforced 50's belief that JayZ operates like a chess master, influencing outcomes without direct exposure. In recent years, 50 has pushed the rivalry into even more provocative territory with what fans call the Grammy theory. He has suggested that JayZ's record-breaking awards success, 25 Grammy wins, owes as much to his marriage to Beyoncé as to his own artistry. Entertaining to some and infuriating to others, the theory underscores how deeply personal, competitive, and unresolved this feud remains, no longer just about music, but legacy, power, and cultural dominance.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce.
Mm-hmm.
When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those trophies came rolling in.
Even to be fair, JayZ had already won 4 Grammys before collaborating with Beyoncé, not one as 50 Cent has claimed. Still, his larger argument carries weight. JayZ's awards accelerated sharply afterward. Of his 25 Grammy wins, 21 came post-2004, aligning with major collaborations, a polished public image, and his rise as a mogul and family man, an evolution 50 views as carefully calculated.
So you're saying the success is derived from the marriage?
I've absolutely been treated differently.
The accolades. Because he's no longer viewed as what, like a street or gangster rapper. Now he's viewed as a businessman, entrepreneur, family man.
And the biggest ones because of the position Beyonce's.
Oh, wow.
Right? You were connected to the...
This argument aligns with 50 Cent's broader criticism of the Grammy Awards, which he argues prioritize image over authenticity. He often notes that Tupac Shakur never won a Grammy despite his massive cultural impact, suggesting the industry favors polished, safer figures over raw pioneers. Although 50 himself holds 3 Grammys, he frames his critique as systemic, not personal. He casts himself as a truth-teller in a business he believes rewards relationships over talent, a stance he's amplified by drawing provocative parallels between JayZ's image and Jean-Michel Basquiat.
You image yourself after a gay painter. Your big homie want to look like a gay painter.
What are we talking about here?
We're talking about Basquiat. He wants to look like a gay painter.
50 Cent has never been subtle when it comes to criticizing JayZ, and his claim that Jay modeled his entire look after Jean-Michel Basquiat is just one example of how far he's willing to go. On the surface, the comment sounds random, even petty, but it reflects a broader pattern in how 50 approaches the rivalry. He doesn't limit his attacks to music. He targets JayZ's appearance, authenticity, business strategies, personal relationships, and public image, framing each as evidence of what he sees as artificial positioning rather than organic credibility. 50 has mocked JayZ's 444 album by calling it golf course music, suggesting it was elitist and disconnected from the streets that first elevated Jay's career. He's also used memes to poke fun at JayZ's aging and changing style, turning serious critiques into viral ridicule. Yet for longtime hip-hop observers, the irony of this saga is striking. Both men came from nothing, JayZ from Brooklyn's Marcy Projects, 50 from the streets of Queens, and each built billion-dollar empires through hustle, vision, and timing. By conventional logic, they should respect one another. Instead, they've spent more than 25 years locked in a Cold War that evolved from diss records to business rivalries to relentless social media trolling. What's notable is that 50 Cent has remained consistent in how he explains the conflict. He doesn't claim to hate JayZ personally. By his own admission, they're civil when they cross paths. The issue, he says, is philosophical. 50 rejects what he views as JayZ's method of operating, using corporate power to resolve personal disputes, relying on legal teams and business structures to insulate himself, and cultivating a safe, polished image that shields him from direct accountability. In contrast, 50 defines himself as the opposite. He embraces confrontation, keeps disputes public, and appears comfortable with chaos and backlash. 50, discomfort is a weapon. His persona thrives on immediacy and consequence. Say it loud, say it now, and deal with the fallout in real time. JayZ, meanwhile, is portrayed as strategic and silent, preferring boardrooms over microphones and contracts over comment sections. These opposing approaches have turned them into symbols of 2 kinds of power, The gladiator versus the emperor, the street corner versus the executive suite. Despite years of tension, diss tracks, sales battles, business competition, memes, and allegations tied to gatekeeping, neither man has destroyed the other. Both remain dominant forces in entertainment. In many ways, they've sharpened one another. Long rivalries stop being about hatred and start becoming about definition. Each man's identity exists partly in contrast to the other. That's why this moment feels so compelling. Super Bowl allegations raise questions about access and gatekeeping. The Grammy debate challenges how success is rewarded. Image, authenticity, and power are all being reassessed at once. What we're witnessing isn't just beef. It's two kings fighting for influence in an era neither could have imagined when they started. And if history tells us anything, this rivalry is far from its final chapter.